Hi, my name's Erin, and today we're going to talk about one of the most brutal groups of people in history, the Vikings. Well, in my opinion at least. And no, not the Minnesota Vikings. Before we get started, I want you to leave me a comment on who your favorite Viking is. So, who were the Vikings? The Vikings were Scandinavian explorers, warriors, and pirates who raided and colonized widespread areas of Europe during the late 8th to early 11th century. Pillage first, then burn. So these people, called Norsemen, used framed long ships to travel as far east as the Volga River in Russia and as far west as Iceland, Greenland, and Newfoundland. Also, I know for a fact that the Vikings made it as far as America, to Hefner, Oklahoma, where they have a state park that encases the Rune Stone, which we'll get to later. This period of Viking expansion is known as the Viking Age, and it forms a major part of medieval history for Scandinavia, Ireland, Britain, and other parts of Europe. The Old Norse word Viking is actually pronounced Viking with a W. It was found on several rune stones in Scandinavia. In the Icelander's sagas, the word Viking actually refers to overseas expeditions. So in Old Norse, fara I Viking would mean to go on an expedition. And the word Vikinger would refer to a seaman or warrior taking part in the expedition. So there's your Old Norse language lesson for today. So let's talk a little bit more about the origins of the word Viking. In Old English, the word Wising appears first during the 9th century. But in Old English writing, the word referred to a pirate and not so much a people or culture. So despite the word's origin, it's used mostly as a verb. So to go Viking is distinctly different from Norse seaborne missions. So the word Wising disappeared during Middle English, and the word Viking was reintroduced during the Viking renewal of the 18th century, with heroic overtones of barbarian warrior and noble savage. Noble savage. So during the 20th century, the word Viking expanded to refer not only to raiders, but also to the entire period. So using the word as a noun would refer to raiders, warriors, and navigators, but it would also refer to the Scandinavian population in general. And this can get confusing because the adjective form of this word can be used in expressions like Viking Age, Viking culture, and Viking colony, generally referring to medieval Scandinavia. The decline of the Vikings was due to Christianity's growing presence in Scandinavia, as well as robust coastal defense systems, which made raids more risky and less profitable. So let's talk about weaponry. According to custom, all free Norsemen were required to own weapons, but were also permitted to carry them at any time. These weapons also told the Vikings' social status. For instance, a wealthy Viking would have the complete ensemble, consisting of a helmet, shield, chainmail shirt, and sword. However, a typical free Viking or freeman could be found fighting with a spear and shield, and could also be found with a utility knife and a sidearm. So bows were also used in the opening stages of land battles and at sea, but they were considered to be less honorable than a hand weapon. So since Vikings were relatively unusual at the time, their main weapon of choice was an axe, and some even carried two-handed axes which could split shields and metal helmets. So earlier we were talking about the Rune Stone, and these were actually ways that the Vikings kept records. They would record the names of participants on Viking expeditions and also those who died on these expeditions. Rune stones are important because they help us study the Norse society as well as medieval Scandinavia. Thanks for watching my video today on Vikings. I know that there is so much more we could talk about, but I only have a little bit of time. Please leave me any comments, rate my video 5 stars, and subscribe to the channel.